Welcome to Fight to the show we analyze and solve pure kerfuffles of a world not beyond. I'm your host, Lexi Old, author, 7 Secret Source Inspiration, a snappy guide for creative procrastinators. And joining me guests John Nash and Eugene S. Robinson from Ozzy.com and author of Fight Everything You Ever Want to Know About Asking. We're afraid you get your ass kicked for asking.
Yep.
Eugene,
Sir.
you're the UFC. How do you maximize the PR from Nate Diaz allegedly brawling buck wild live and in public, if you will, in Sacramento?
Well, if I'm the oofsie and you pose that question to me, I say to you a few things. I say to you, huh? And then I say, Nate Diaz, is that the gardener? And then I say, hey, you know, I got this great new show coming up tonight called The Contenders. Have you seen it? My name is above the title. Then the curtain comes down and they play the clown music. That's what I do if I'm the oopsie. They don't give a fuck. I mean, it's not like this. This is not like throwing a dolly through the window of a bus. You know, you know how many jiu-jitsu competitions I've been to where there've been scraps? Quite a few. I've seen fights on the mat, shoving, and this is okay. It was a brawl in the stands, and a Diaz happened to be. You know, you're not interested in the guy because you're not going to come to terms because ostensibly we've said if we are the UFC, we have said he doesn't move the needle, which is patent bullshit. You know, I got the numbers from Mike Kogan, who was managing him at the time. Patent fucking bullshit. So you're squandering this guy's career. If I'm the UFC, it's clear that I don't give a fuck. Whatever I'm interested in, it's not the health, the livelihoods, the welfare of the fighters who fight for me. And the idea that I could turn this into some sort of, you know, making hay while the sun shines. If I was interested in making hay while the sun shined at all, I would have come to a deal a long time ago. Not interested. And this is not even the motivating thing this is not the kind of thing that like the dolly in courtroom in jail might scare McNuggets into flying straight for a certain period of time, getting a taste of that like fucking, okay, he didn't want to fight this year anyway, but it's a big difference between not wanting to fight and can't fight. You know, Diaz just wasn't going to fight because he was not going to be jobbed. And this is his life forever. And it doesn't bother him, you know. So who am I going to put him against? That's still a problem. Somebody who can make him 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 mil. Who would that be? You know, with McNuggets on ice, who is that going to be? At this point, he's not going to fight scrub fights like everybody else. So it's just business as usual.
Man, but you know what? I think I would love to see an event called Fights at Fights. Oh, yeah. It's like when the action in the octagon comes to a standstill, we have the stands. Fights at Fights.
Yeah, really. I mean, every guy in the band knows that at first you're like, okay, there's a mosh pit there. That feels pretty cool. And then guys start fighting in the fucking mosh pit. You go like, you know what? They're only doing that because they're fucking bored. You know, and now that's on me. You know, I got them to a certain requisite level, and then they just, you know, then they're off. So, but fights at the fights would be fucking great because it would be participatory sports. Like, imagine if you go to a football game, you go, this fucking idiot, give me the punt, I'll take it, you know, and you could just, it's a part of my rock and roll fantasy. It's a part of my rock and roll dream.
What's part of your UFC dream, John Nash? With the Nate Diaz situation.
Well, I think we should focus more on this fights at fights. This could be as big as world star. You know, that's
brought to you by World Star.
Yeah, we could do. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Tyson Fury's last boxing match. There was a fight that broke out, and the boxer stopped to go watch the fight for a while.
Oh, really? Hey, that's good.
Fairly entertaining. Man. Well, first thing I say, Nate Diaz is technically on brand here because that's the Nate Diaz appeal. The Diaz brother appeal is they'll throw down anytime, anywhere.
Yep.
So, I think the one problem is a couple problems with this for the UFC is one, it doesn't really matter if he's in the news for fighting if he doesn't have a fight coming up. And like Eugene said, he's not coming back anytime soon. He's holding out for the type of money he got when he fought Conor McGregor in the $4 or $5 million ballpark, probably his last fight. So he wants something in that ballpark, I imagine, at least to come back Problem is Conor McGregor doesn't seem to be coming back anytime soon, and if he does, it's going to be someone else. So Nate Diaz is again kind of left hanging, so that doesn't help the UFC. The other problem for the UFC, I think, is that the Nick Diaz story. You don't want people confusing the two, because Nick Diaz's recent allegations and charges against him are pretty disturbing. And not all news is good news. So I think right now all the UFC has to do is basically, obviously they have some sort of relationship with TMZ. Tell TMZ not to cover this too much and let it blow over, because I'm sure they'd love to embrace it if they had a fight coming up, but there is no fight. Why risk that this turns into something they don't want? Just ignore it.
Yep. Yeah. And I think like you said, there are two qualities to a Diaz fight. There's a good Diaz fight and a bad Diaz fight. I haven't heard any disturbing details about the Nick Diaz fight, but the reality of it is, it's a if it's a gamemanship thing, if it's an art of the deal that the Baldwin is trying to pull off, this is the risk that he runs. If you're hoping that those guys are going to prodigal son it their way back to you, that's not going to happen. They got enough money to live comfortably in fucking Stockton for the rest of their lives, and they're fine with living in Stockton. Okay, so fuck it, man. If you're playing a hand, you got to know when you lose it. And at this point, I think that sending messages, I think the Baldwin's got the kind of psychology that sending messages is much more significantly important to him than running a good business. Artist development, who's fighting? We got fucking Rory McDonald and Gegard Mousasi coming up on Bellator. How the fuck did that happen at Bellator? Well, he let him go. Because what? Because he was thinking about other things. UFC boxing. He was thinking about his TV show, thinking about the mansion in Malibu and the houses in Vegas, chasing around ring girls, allegedly. Whatever, man. That fighting is not the priority of the Ultimate Fighting Championship at this point.
I mean, it's weird also when you think about when you mentioned Bellator and you look at Lyoto Machida, how he got the Bellator offer. UFC slept on it, and then came back. It's like, oh yeah, we'll match it. And he's like, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Already accepted.
Yep.
Oh man, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And interesting thing about
Dragon.
Interesting thing about the Lyoto Machida thing. They said they matched the Bellator offer, but why didn't they use their matching rights?
It's weird. It's just
why?
It's weird.
It's like the scene with the Three Stooges when they're all enjoying themselves. They're smoking cigars, they're drinking brandy, and Curly says, the car is careening down a hill, and Curly says, "I don't want to spoil the fun, fellas, but as he looks to the front seat and sees that nobody's driving, we're all gonna die." So that's what.
I have a different theory, but we'll go with yours. Is more entertaining. So
yeah, no, I'd like to hear your theory, because
my only theory is, if you noticed, everything that was brought up in the lawsuit as provisions in the contract to give the UFC control over fighters, the tolling provisions where they could extend your fight, if you didn't fight, they could extend your contract forever, the perpetual freezing of retired fighters, and the matching, they haven't used one of them since that lawsuit was filed in 2014.
So you hear, my theory was going to be just lazy lawyering. So it was like, oh yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't want to break this to you, but we actually have a matching period, and it ended 2 days ago. So I don't know if you want to get on that.
If any of us did our jobs as badly as they do their jobs, we wouldn't have jobs. It's like
and the idea is like, oh, we missed the matching period. What are we going to do? Should we offer him more money than we know he's going to get, or the same amount of money? It's like the fuck? Yeah. This fucking ridiculous.
Hey, listen. Hey, when I moved into a house with this friend of mine who's now a world-renowned physicist, and the people who lived there we thought were our friends, and we said, well, since there's an overlap of a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, could we leave some of our stuff here? And they told us, this is a huge house, 3-story house. They said, no, you can't. Okay. So we moved in, and they turned around and said, oh, we're kind of slow moving out. Could we leave well, we've drawn up a tote sheet of all the things we want to leave that we'll charge you for. And we look at the sheet, and there's a brand new washer and dryer, and it's like $160 for the washer, $160 for the dryer. that my world-renowned physicist friend and roommate at the time looks at the sheet. He goes, yeah, great. And it was about $700 worth of stuff there. He goes, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $50 for all of it. And they go, $50? That's crazy. He goes, great, then get it out of here. Can't get it out of here by fucking 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. It reverts to the owners of note. That would be us. And they muttered something about you guys are assholes and walked out. And we got a washer, dryer, dishwasher, a bunch of shit. So this is like, you want to fucking negotiate? Gegard Mousasi said, their offer was not even close. How shitty do you have to be to give something that's not even close? In other words, I told that story because if you're coming up with an offer of $50, that is a financial fuck you that is designed to be understood by all as a fuck you. So if they, Gegard Mousasi says, well, let's talk, and they come up with some janky figure, we'll give you 10 grand. That's not even close. That tells the guy, I don't give a fuck about you. You don't like it, take it on the arches. Do what you got to do. Okay. I put fighter on my tax return. I get paid as a fighter. I got a bank account. I walk down the street. People wave at me, go, hey, fighter. I don't give a fuck about your little fucking beauty contest, okay? I don't give a shit. I got to eat. I got to pay. And I'm not going back to a fucking office job. So.
Word. John, you're Conor McGregor. UFC strawweight champion Rose Namajunas told Ariel Helwani that not only is she still suffering emotional trauma from your UFC 223 bus attack, she rejected an Instagram apology made by someone that might or might not have been you. Quote, I'm like a personal person. I like face-to-face. That's how I like to handle things. I feel like anything can be worked out. You just got to talk it through as adults, end quote. How does your PR power as MMA's Blue of the Woods affect your decision to make things right with Thug Rose?
Well, normally with Conor McGregor, his brand, like the Nate Diaz, the Diaz brothers brand is not giving a shit. Conor McGregor's brand is a not giving a shit rebel too. So normally I'd say ignore her. But in this case, I don't think he can win going after someone as lovable as Rose Namajunas. That there's for the young people out there, FDR had a dog named Fela, and Republicans made a big mistake attacking that dog because that dog was goddamn adorable. and so for McGregor, so actually there's a great statue of that dog in New York. So if you're ever there to see the FDR statue, go see the dog. It's right next to him. That's how famous the world's most famous dog. But you can't attack. He can ignore her, but that kind of leaves the opening that she could keep bringing up and it can keep getting asked and it'll keep haunting him. He can't attack her like he'd normally do because she's just a goddamn lovable human being. She just looks, like we said, cuddly and adorable. I'm going to get yelled at because like first I compared to a dog. Now I'm going to compare her to Ann Nicole Smith. But she's
that's a clumsy comparison.
Yeah, Rose is nothing like Ann Nicole Smith. But
I have a vision of Ann Nicole Smith passed out in her bed with her chest covered with vomit. So I don't know where you're going with that.
Yeah, and I think also Thug Rose might be might redirect her frustration and anger
towards me,
from Conor McGregor to you. So watch out for Mr. Pat Barry coming for you.
But my point about Anna Nicole Smith, I did a movie with her years ago when I first got to Hollywood in the 90s. And Anna Nicole Smith was amazing because Rose isn't like this. Anna Nicole would just act like she didn't know anything. She couldn't do anything. But people loved her so much. They felt so bad for her. They just liked her. She was just like, oh, you sweet thing. They would run and do everything for her. People would ask her to do stuff, and then she'd stand confused, and they'd run, Crafty's over there. Go get yourself a plate. She'd stand confused, like she would know, oh, don't worry, I'll get it for you. And they'd take care of it. She didn't
It's how I got through high school.
That's good. She didn't know her lines one day. And so they mic'd it. So she was being put on the back of a car. They drive the front car and it's actually being towed. So she's in a car and they're feeding the lines through a headpiece to her so she can repeat it. Then we drove by the airport and then she started repeating what the traffic controller was saying because that started feeding into her feed. And no one brought it up and made fun of her because she's so adorable. Yeah. So no, Rose has that quality. Rose is a smart, talented person, unlike the previous people I mentioned. But she's so goddamn adorable. If I was Conor, I literally would call Rose, talk to her personally, and say, listen, I am really, really sorry. And then I'd send her some, a gift or something.
Yep.
and that would be the best.
That's the best fucking advice ever. Attacking her is no gain. Ignoring her would be a loss. Just get it, I mean, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt to do that. You're not going to do anything but bump into these. Why add a little bit of fucking aggravation to your day? Now you got to see these people at fights, and she's with Pat, and they're giving you the stink eye, and then, it's just, and she's still going to the shrink, and she's, come on, man. Just make the call. Make the call. I'm advising the cat. Make the call. It's a simple gesture. It'll, you played the monkey game in the courtroom. Keep it up.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about her, too, is the fact that if another fighter had made a similar statement, then you'd kind of wonder, is this person just looking for a payday? But not her. Like, she's just so legit and believable. It's just he has to just make things right. He has to make things right, especially with the fact that she is an active fighter and she is a champion as well. Like, I mean, you can't
you can't fucking look. I
don't see any winning with him just keeping quiet or doing his thing.
What's amazing about her is, like, with women's fighting. Every fighter that fights the female division, I don't sit there. You just look at them like fighters almost all. Ronda Rousey, I didn't feel sorry for when she got hit. Who cared? Rose is the one person that you just like, what do you just feel like you have to cuddle her. She's that. Like,
okay.
All
right. That was one fucking cuddle too much. I'm now officially creeped out. John is fucking slobbers. He doesn't want to cuddle her.
Especially if you had your old lighting, John, with even darker basement looking, like,
I'm a dungeon here.
Just so you reminded me of the Colonel and Boogie Night. They're just so little. Just so little.
How dare you, man? You guys. I want the curse. Don't watch what I'm saying.
Like I smoked tires. I don't know what it is. Okay.
I can't. Right. Your mind just goes to the gutter right away, you two.
It wasn't. But after the 26th time you said it, I was like, all right.
You're so low. God damn it.
It's like Raging Bull. You yourself don't know what you yourself just said. But the reality, I mean, so the D-man was tweeting during. He goes that he should attack her. He says a PR play is just tell Helwani not to let her on the show again, or he'll give him something to cry about and then threaten Rose like that too. Either way, it works. Coked out maniacs only falter when they no longer behave like coked out maniacs.
That's a good point. The fact that he gave her airtime and it's making Conor Mack look bad, does that cause a fissure within the Conor Mack Ariel Helwani relationship?
You know what? Can we for a second? Oh man, I don't know how to say this and be political about it, but can we stop for a second? There's a big difference. How about this? Here's a gracious way of saying it. There's a big difference between me, for example, and Ariel Helwani. Okay. I can say the UFC licks my butt. Nobody cares. See? Nobody cares. He cannot say that. So the idea that that he's going to do anything to counter Conor is no. He knows who signs his paychecks. I get no paycheck. So
he knows who butters his bread. I have no bread, so not even a knife.
That's right. That's right. I have no knife. I have no bread. So.
But John, you have a Legion of Doom.
Oh yes, the Legion of Doom. A lot of choices since I've been on for a while. I was going to go with the guy, the MMA fighter in Virginia Beach, just for Eugene there, the serial exposure guy that was.
Oh no, I haven't heard.
That's not quite villainous enough. So
what happened?
And then I thought about that Paul Calhoun in England that's wanted by the British police for being part of the drug empire. But the guy I'm going with is named Patrick Schroeder. He's serving life sentence for murdering a farmer in 2006. And I guess a few years ago, he was given a new cellmate, and he didn't want a cellmate, and he didn't like the guy. He was young and a talkative guy, found him obnoxious. So what did he do? While they're watching MMA, he used the moves in MMA to put a death grip chokehold on the guy and murder him.
Damn.
And I'm like, that's straight from the movies. That's that killer that you're stupid to put anybody in the room with him because he'll kill him.
Wow.
It's kind of self-explanatory, I think, right there about that.
Well, you know, the thing, what I discovered now that I hang out with young guys, there are two categories of young guys.
Raising, you hang out with young, what's that?
Jiu-jitsu. Let me get that in there. And jiu-jitsu class.
John's like, I'm not forgetting that thug road.
Exactly. He got in there really quick.
Alexi, don't think I forgot your ass too. One more show.
Let me interrupt Eugene for 1 second, because my other alternate I was going to use was a jiu-jitsu teacher that was molesting his students, and he also murdered someone. So that was the alternate for the
hold on. That's weird, because a jiu-jitsu teacher molester, his name came up today on my text. Are we talking about the same guy?
That Gerald Strembeck, whatever his name is?
No. Okay, thank God.
Finishing machine. His name's a finishing machine. What a terrible name for a sexual predator.
And apparently a murderer now, right?
Oh, well, he killed a guy years ago, and then he shot an unarmed man with a rifle. He's an ex-Marine sniper, I guess, and he shot it in a road rage incident. In self-defense, he shot an unarmed guy with a rifle, and now they've arrested him for child molestation.
Damn.
Man, oh man.
So that was pretty bad. So.
You know, there was a dentist at one point who they busted. Now I was going to bring this up at a meeting at work the other day, and I just decided it was too over the line, even though it would have perfectly illustrated the point I was trying to make. So they catch this guy, and you know what the dentist is doing? His pants are around his ankles. Okay, so mark that down. Pants around the ankles. He is fucking his unconscious patient. That's number 2. So we had to give them too much fucking anesthesia for them to pass out. And he's fucking her in the dental chair. He's a dentist. That's 2. Number 3, in one of his hands, he's got a bottle of Jim Beam, right? And in his other hand, while he's fucking with his pants around his ankle, his patient who he's knocked out and is passed out in the chair, he has got a bong and he's smoking weed. 4 fucking things. Now, do you realize that any one of these things is actionable? But what makes what elevates this is that the guy's not doing one at a time. He's doing them all. The pants around the ankles, the drugging of the patient, the fucking of the patient, the bong, and the Jim Beam. That guy could have been stopped for any one of those anyway. And you got to know that he got there incrementally. Like one day, it was just the pants around the ankles. And then the other day, it was the knockout drops. And then it was the fucking. And then it was the Jim Beam, and then it was the bong with weed in it. My point is, that some of these guys, you got to stop them early. When he shoots the guy, stop him. Otherwise, or I guess the child molestation came first, or whichever came first. No, that was the recent one. Stop the guy early. Just stop him early. When they don't stop him, you know what I tell myself? I put it in a little file. And I tell myself, what should I write at the top of this file? Oh, I know. Because he was white. That's a long walk with that punchline. Huh?
Did he have a hygienist, or was it just him?
No, guess what? That was his defense. He goes, "Oh, there are people in and out of my office all the time. How could I possibly do that?" And the dental hygienist was, he used to lock us out. Boom.
Oh,
done.
shit.
Yeah.
See,
like there was a serial rapist in California. The guy had raped 17 women, and they kept releasing him. And every time they released him, he raped somebody. He was 3 times. What do you think that guy was black?
If he was black, just taking the bong out would have been like, gotcha.
yeah. You think he was Latino? No, the multiple rapists as a white guy, and they were releasing him again. So it became a news story. Like, where are you gonna let him go? You're gonna let him go to, where? Stockton, to Central Valley, Bakersfield, Fresno. Where are you gonna let this guy go? Again.
Man.
Reminds me of the guy up in Northern California, the millionaire that got, what did he get, 90 days suspended sentence for molesting a 5-year-old or something ridiculous?
Jesus.
It's, not that I don't want to go too much on molestation and rape in this episode, but
well, you know what? We're here. That's
well, and we're about to enter the Lost Battalion, so I think we need to.
Well, okay. As a preface,
I never thought of the Lost Battalion as a saving zone.
Grace.
But,
well, no, because if you watch a show Stomper this week, and
which I did, great episode. Everyone should check it out.
So what Alexi might be referring to is that one moment that I had, and I've been having it. It's been incrementally making itself known to me. And I started to think, for those of you who haven't watched the show, I kind of woke up at 4 a.m. and started to think, wait a minute. What if Chris Weidman is smarter than he seems? What if this is a fucking put on? What if he's talking himself into the game to keep himself in the game, and it has nothing to do with awareness? He's, like Manson said, total paranoia, total awareness. And I couldn't go back to sleep. And I started analyzing everything that Weidman said and was like, this is so outlandish that he's got to be joking. He can't be. And then when I started to think about the prospect that Chris Weidman was just fucking playing us, I got really disturbed. And I sent it out to the community. I did the show and I said, we have to reanalyze all of his comments that got him in the Lost Battalion as being, look, February, #February. Was that part of the work? Was that part of the plan? Or is it like fixing professional sports? You don't have to get everybody, you just have to get one. So maybe that was a genuine stumble, the February thing. He overplayed his hand, but the rest of it has been pitch perfect fucking trolling.
Using his psychology degree.
Right. So I don't know whether I have to undo his placement in the Lost Battalion or I'm going to have to fucking asterisk it. I'm gonna have to
what?
I'm gonna have until I get further information. I'm gonna have to asterisk it. And you know what the information that I'll get will be? It's like Hamlet said, "If he but blench, I know my course." His next fight, you will know. It's like, what is that song I used to have to sing? They will know we are Christians by our love, by our love. You will know it's a work by the pick. If he's talking about how he could take out Robert Whitaker. Under any circumstance, crazy talk. He's in the side making the belt sign, craziness. But if he gets another Kelvin Gastelum, then he might be smarter than the average bear. Some guy he can credibly just about beat, but that's not going to fuck him up like everybody else in that division. So this wasn't so much. This was more of a counter example. All right, now I got to put the asterisk there because the guy was a psych major. It's not, what's he going to do? What's he going to try? And the reality of it is we haven't heard shit from Longo or Sarah because they're like, man, this is like multi-level chess. We don't know what you're doing. You just go do it on your own. The other scenario has been they're ashamed of him, they turn their back on him, and they're going about their business because he's saying shit that's outlandish. But he's been saying it for so long. I got questions. I just don't know. It's a terrible thing to say and a terrible place to be, but I just don't know. Man. Rashad Evans also got himself out of the Lost Battalion. Showed a stunning amount of awareness.
Another psych major.
Yep, right. And said, "Who am I kidding? I'm out, ski. Done." Okay, I guess he was hoping for magic to happen. Didn't happen. Is like, yeah, I got it. I got the message finally.
So what is this? I know that people used to be able to escape the Phantom Zone. What is this? What is this effect?
Well, this is
what is this effect that enables? What is this rupture in the time-space continuum which enables people who are in the Lost Battalion to find their way out?
Well, but it's complicated, right? Because can you quit the Lost Battalion, right? Like Chuck Liddell, last time he got knocked out, if he had started talking about his climb back up, we would have put him in the Lost Battalion. And then he retires. Is he out of the Lost Battalion? Well, I tend to think that this is like World War I or World War II, or like in Inglourious Bastards. When the war is over, you'll take off that uniform, and people forget that you're a Nazi. But I want to give you something they won't forget, right? So, is a Lost Battalion something like a mark on the skin that just stays with you? I guess so, because Chuck Liddell is saying stuff now, pure mist. pure mist. So maybe you never get out. Maybe whatever life decisions you had to make to get you in there will, like Dante's Inferno, will continue post-death. Will continue post-mist. You will be misty as fuck forever. There is no redemption. But there is redemption if you're playing it, right? If you've been playing it from the outset, if you're what if you're like how many fights that Wes Sims have, right? If we had the concept of Lost Battalion back then, we would have put Wes Sims in it for sure, and he talked himself into fight after fight after fight by being fucking entertaining and just crazy. Of course, it didn't work out for him in the end. Ended up being homeless and living under a bridge, but that's another story. So it's like, okay, how many baseball players have hit more home runs than fucking Barry Bonds? Nobody. But there's still a fucking asterisk there, right? So General Gauleiter, Chris Woodpile Weidman, is still the leading contender for the Lost Battalion. But he's got an asterisk.
I think I think that the axe is definitely down, right? It might be because he has a splinter in his finger. Or maybe he ran out of wood, right? And we'll see.
You know how you know if he's talking about Robert Whitaker is different from actually pushing people to book you with Robert Whitaker, right? That's a very different thing. I could, I'll fuck up, Francis Ngannou. I'll fuck that guy up. Easy to say, sitting on my couch.
Right. Yeah, but you gotta give one thing. Makes me think Weidman is not in the Lost Battalion under that he escaped. He's like Jack Sir, he escaped the Phantom Zone. Is that
these are two different things, but okay.
No, but he is that talking about Whitaker is in the UFC. Generally, being the champion is the only way you make serious money, getting in title fights. So it's even if he has no faith he can beat him, he still wants to be in the title fight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That means that all the crazy shit is saying is not coming from a position of deeply held belief, but it's coming from a position like I want to get paid, which is cynical opportunism.
Right.
You know how many cynical opportunists are in the fucking Lost Battalion? Zero, because they know exactly where they are. So maybe I just got Chris Weidman wrong this whole time, and he's really just been an operator, a hustler, and a cynical opportunist.
Could have said that from the beginning and not left me confused. So I didn't.
Well, I had to lay a trap for you.
Okay.
It's commentary jujitsu. Yeah. No. I mean, I'm seriously shaken, and I'm like, on a casual way at work, or before I go to bed, I've been looking at film. I'm trying to figure it out. It's like one of those movies with Edward Norton where you can't figure out whether he's a dupe or he's like, or like I said, Kaiser Soze. Oh, what's his name? Kent, the Kevin Spacey character, and
Herbal Kent.
Yeah, and the Usual Suspects. I mean, or is that who he is? Or the Al Pacino in Devil's Advocate? Never let him see you coming.
Do you run the risk, Eugene, of being in the mist yourself?
Oh,
analysis.
It's a well-established fact that you still see my face and hear my voice as proof positive that I am fucking Lost Battalionized, right? It's in your blood. You can't. That's what I'm saying. That's why I believe it's a genetic characteristic. It's been in my blood forever. You realize I auditioned for fucking Van Halen?
Oh,
who does that? That's a musical equivalent of going like this. They kick out David Lee Roth. I go, ha! I got this in the bag. Sent a letter to their fucking to their management, and I was pushing hard, man. Letters, fax, FedExes. I was pushing hard. I was like,
you had visions of Brian Johnson in your head.
Yep. Yeah. It's a part of my rock and roll fantasy. Man. I mean, and the crazy shit I've done. Like my sisters once, when they were kids, my mother got them tickets to see New Edition, right? And my mother, my sisters were like 7 or 8, they're like, and my mom was like, okay, all right, you guys, you got your good seats. Can you see them? And my sister Maya goes, yeah, but can they see us? Now, my sister Maya is a Grammy-winning professional singer who is now on tour and just played in front of 65,000 people in in Croatia and just got back from Turkey and Indonesia. So in her instance, it worked out.
Yeah.
But we're all family. So so that's been my mindset from the beginning. So yeah, the fact that you still hear my voice and see my face is proof positive. Because like my buddy once said, there's giving up and there's surrendering. Rob De Niro in Meet the Fockers, that's giving up. Right? This, surrendering. Big difference.
Well, thank you for joining us. Follow us on Twitter, Eugene S. Robinson, Alexio. Hey, not the face. Facebook, MMA Pancholes.
Pancholes!
Please give us a thumbs up and leave comments on YouTube. Subscribe to MMANation.com, YouTube MMA Nation on iTunes. Visit Bloody Elbow. Buy 7 Secret Source Inspiration. Buy Oxford's Thin Black Duke and Boonwell's Easy Way Out, where to find music is sold. Listen to the Let It Roll podcast, even though Nate's not here. And John, what you got to pitch or pimp out?
You know, I got nothing to. All I got to pitch is I got Nate commenting on stuff, complaining that he's pining for the days when Nate Wilcox was on the show. Apparently, the show's not the same without him.
So Nate is whining about
Bill, give me this guy.
I love that Nate's on vacation from vacation. My vacation was so stressful. I must take a vacation for my vacation.
Ringo never, Peter forever.
And really found this show. Be sure to check out If the Shoes Fit How to Do That, Eugene.
Right below this picture from the mist. There's a link that John should have put there. Yeah.
Oh.
There's a link, and you click on that link, and then we'll all be back at If the Shoes Fit. But it takes us like 90 seconds to get up and piss and get something to drink and before we get back. So
a record. We'll be back next week with another installment. If I Did It, we don't know what we're going to be talking about yet because the PR mistakes have yet to be made.